Hey guys, Jason Nedved here with Nedved Precision Shooting, doing another episode talking with a really good shooter, Erich Leipold. So thanks for coming on. You didn't really have a choice. We're crashing together in a hotel in, we're not in St. George, we're not in Hurricane. Laverkin, Utah for another match. It is our last USPRA qualifier. He's definitely on the team. They say I'm definitely on the team because the two guys that could have beat me, they're not here.
Yeah.
So
he's in.
Yeah, so 9th, maybe 10th place. We'll find out tomorrow because
I think you're higher than that. But
maybe Ben can knock me down one or something like that. But he's got to completely win it and crush it again. So, but yeah, good luck to Ben. Hopefully he does well. He did really well in Texas. So good for him. But we're here talking with you. Yeah. So the question everybody wants to know, and I didn't tell him beforehand. You own Leipold scopes or what?
Yeah, I do, yes.
And then you shoot a USO.
Yeah, I shoot for US Optics.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we had a conversation, one of the guys with Leipold and I, and he's like, you could actually have some distant relation. My family's from Germany, and we used to spell our name L-E-U, and when we came over here to the States, we changed it to L-E-I. So, but I get that every match. You own Leipold?
Yeah, and then you're shooting a USO, so that's always fun. Yeah. But so you're a really good shooter. He's definitely on the team. What are you ranked right now on the USPRA? I
think I'm 4th.
It's not 2nd because we know that's where Chris is at.
Yeah, Garcia's in 2nd.
Yep.
I think Lyons is 3rd. I think I'm 5th. I'm 5th. Yeah, Steiner's 4th.
So you're still in open right now.
Yeah.
But you guys are still battling it out for open tomorrow, right?
Yeah, because
you guys are all tight, so it could scrummage around a little bit.
So from 3rd to 7th is like 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, because
so that could all swap around.
Yeah, because Greg said if I completely win, I'd be missing open by just a 10th.
Yeah.
If everybody else and I won this match, I'd be missing it just by a 10th.
Yeah, so it's tight.
So it's really tight.
It's tight for the last 2 positions of factory, and it's tight for the last 4 positions in open, really. Mm-hmm. So it's going to come down to this last match, and it's the way we want it, though. It's the way it should be.
It's going to come down to one impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's it's the cream's going to rise to the top, and of course, really, the cream's already risen to the top. I think for the most part.
But now it's just where we're going to set.
Yeah.
So in this, we talk about what you do compared to other shooters, or not even compared, but what do you do to get ready for these matches, practice for these matches, homework, tuning? We talk about you do a lot of dry firing. Where do you do it? Because right now I'm in hibernation. It's -15 when I left home, and it's 55 now. Beautiful. But I haven't touched my rifle for a month.
Yeah, so for the viewers who don't know, I come from a little bit different background than a lot of PRS guys. I was a 3-gunner and a USPSA pistol shooter, and dry fire was essential in that. So like Jason said, and we talked about on the drive up here, I do a ton of dry firing, usually in the 1,000 to 1,500 reps per week range, and at live fire on top of that as well. But for me, I truly believe that you can make it to the top with dry fire.
And we are dry firing with our rim fires, because I know when I got in this sport, that was a no-no. You don't dry fire with the rim fire. I know my Voodoo, it's more than enough allowed. You can do it. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yep.
I know you used to run a Voodoo. Now you're trying to Rim X.
Yep.
Do you pull your firing pin out?
I do take the firing pin out on the Rim X. I don't know if I really need to now that it has that Mod X conversion to it.
Yep.
But it takes me literally like 14 seconds to pop the bolt out, twist it, and it comes out. It's literally, So I just take it out safe and sorry. But, for your viewers who don't know, I know you know, but I live full-time in an RV with my wife. And so we travel around the country quite a bit. So the DFAT system has been huge for me. And I'll bring in, I got a 6-foot A-frame ladder.
Yep.
And I bring it inside the RV, and 12 feet away I got my target, and I'll just sit there and work the different positions and dry fire for
on that one prop.
Yep, one prop. That's all.
Because it's all the different heights.
Yeah, exactly. And for preparing for Worlds, like you said, how do we prepare for this, or how do I prepare for it specifically? There's a couple things that we've discussed already today, like little things like minimizing my kit to make a better kit
Yep.
that's smaller, that's easier, that I can bring everything with me to Worlds. That way I'm not feeling like, oh, I got to leave this home or something like that. So
Like our stool.
yes.
Just simple things like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
little things, those comforts
Yep.
that keep you in that comfortable zone where
Yep.
you don't feel like you're a fish out of water, so to
Yep.
speak.
Yep.
So that's one thing I've really done. Really work hard on the mental side. I think that's
We were talking about audiobooks, if you're
Yep.
already talking about it, but we do audiobooks. I do it as well.
Yep.
Audio
Podcasts.
podcasts, audiobooks, and then just even mental training, stuff like that. We both do it.
yeah,
You know, this game is not all about pulling the trigger, getting the right dope, all that. It's a huge mental game. We were talking about that.
It's huge.
You
Yeah.
came from 3 to 4 day matches.
Yes.
Well, I'm coming in 2 day matches are sometimes a big push for these people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a huge mental game. You got to be there on day 2 as much
Yeah.
as day 1.
Yeah,
And take care of yourself the night before.
Yeah, day 2 is always moving day, and that's where people you're going to move up or you're going to move down, one of the two. And I think it boils down to that mental side. I think what happens is people going into day 1, they don't have expectations, right? So they just shoot naturally,
Yep.
subconsciously.
Having fun.
Exactly, having fun
Yep.
with their buddies.
Yep.
And to me, the optimal level of shooting is right at having fun, but still taking it serious. Not too serious,
Yep.
where I'm not having fun, and not too much fun where I'm not serious. So that's an optimal level to be at.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
think day 1, people are always there. And then I think people start to see scores, or they hear scores if they're score sensitive, and people, oh man, you're doing really good.
Yeah, either
And-
they're doing really good and then get nervous,
Yep.
and then they could crash and burn, or they're doing bad and then they're like, oh, I got to get after it, and some do, and then some buckle under the pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So that is a huge part of things at any level, but especially at the top level. You know, there's very few. We all have good equipment. We all have good
Yep.
fundamentals.
Yep.
It's what's between your ears, and can you hold it together for 20 stages?
Yeah, so like, for example, the PRS 22 championship this year, you were in my squad, right?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I got 1 impact on that stage.
The feet.
Yeah,
the Yeti feet.
on the
yes.
Yetis, right?
Yeah.
But
hard
it's
to
just
watch.
mentally being able, oh yeah, you know,
Yeah.
same for all of us. We're dang near a team already, you know.
Yeah.
We're all together in this, and we hate to see each other fail, and we're there for when we succeed, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, you beat me, congrats, man, congrats. But yeah, you watched me fail on that, and I look over and I was like, thank God I got 1, because I don't remember the last time I zeroed a stage.
Yeah.
Thank God. And then I look over at you guys, and Chris Garcia's like, you gotta go 0 now. You have to go 0. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And I had that 0 shift or whatever happened
Yeah.
because you and I were shooting Yeti feet at 200 yards earlier.
Yeah.
And so I had that shift, but it cost me possibly not the match because some guys really lit it up. But
Yeah.
when you drop 11 impacts,
It
in
costs you
one
a high
stage,
placement for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
no
know,
doubt.
but then after that, I put my head down and I think I dropped 2 points the rest of that day,
yeah, that was
all the way out.
That's very difficult to do,
Yeah.
and so that's a testament to your mental game.
Yeah.
You know, and you're all going to have good and bad stages, and the question is, can you come back from a bad stage and continue on a good day,
Yep.
and not let it ruin the match.
Yep.
And you know, I struggled for a long time with that. I would get down on myself, and I would verbally in my head beat myself up,
Yep.
and you know, I'm finally realizing how that doesn't help the situation. No matter what I'm saying negative to myself, it's not going to help. So, you know, what helps the situation is getting back to the process, the fundamentals, and focusing on that, not focusing on the outcome.
Yep.
And, you know, that's where the day 2 comes in. I think people are like, they start to focus so much on that outcome of the match because they have an expectation, and then day 2, they usually come,
Like you said, it's
they crumble.
moving day.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That's really good. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, everyone's moving on day 2.
I didn't move.
Well,
NRL, I didn't move.
No, I moved. Unfortunately, I moved down a couple, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
so.
no, NRL, I didn't move. When I seen I was on top, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, you know, because
I think I
it's
was
moving day.
1 impact behind you after day 1,
Yeah, maybe.
and then you spanked me on day 2.
gosh.
So,
yeah. But that was the only day.
of course, you spanked all of us on day 2. So,
I don't know
it
how,
wasn't
but
too
it just
bad.
worked. I just stayed in my own head, like you said. It's all mental.
Yeah.
I stayed in my own head. I just stayed on my little stool,
yep.
on my tripod, and I focused on this stage.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that stage was done, I reloaded my mag. I looked at the next stage, got my Kestrel, and then I focused on that stage. It was just, you know, mental repetition
yeah.
of what I'm going to do, where I'm going to move.
Yeah.
And I didn't like, hey, good job. Hope you did good because I just congratulated. Hope you didn't get a 2.
Yeah,
you know, just being there with the team. But no, I didn't watch how you did it versus what I did.
Yeah,
and,
you were
No, I was
playing your
here.
game.
Yeah. I'm playing me. So.
Yeah, I think that's a huge learning curve, huge learning lesson. People say it all the time. Oh, I'm going to shoot my game. Okay, well, what does that mean? Tell me what that means. I want to go deeper and I want to learn. Like, tell me, what does that mean to you to say?
What does that entail?
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that means I'm not worried about you. I'm not listening to your scores. I'm not looking at what positions you're shooting. Now I'm going to notice probably, oh wow, he did tripod rear over there.
Yep.
Does that
on that V cattle gate, some of us did tripod, some of us didn't, whatever. But yeah.
And then it's a question of, okay, would that be better than my plan? Yep. And do I have that skill in my toolbox?
Yep.
And if I have that skill, okay, well then I need to decide.
Like a tripod on a bus. Like, I don't know.
If you guys saw that.
The Texas YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy with the tripod rear.
Yeah, so that's a 1 out of 10. Do not recommend. No tripods on buses.
Especially when we all cleaned it beforehand.
Without tripods.
Yeah, without a tripod.
Why I needed a tripod, I don't know. So that lets you know that even guys at our top level or wherever we are, that...
we make mistakes. We want to try something new.
Yeah, and it was...
And then I'm over here trying to secure every impact using a tripod rear on a PRS barricade that everybody's cleaning before me, but I'm like, nope, I'm not risking it.
Yeah. Well, that was a good tripod rear stage because
it was a little wobbly, but how many people cleaned it in front of me? And then I'm the first one to use tripod rear, but I'm just like, I need every point I can get.
I was going to say, do you want to be the first guy to not clean it because you said, I'm not going to use tripod rear?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of dry fire and a lot of mental game.
Yeah.
What else do you do? Because you're in an RV.
Yeah.
You dry fire.
Yeah.
We talked about it. You don't have range everywhere you go.
No. Yeah. So it's literally that. Now, I mean, I do some mental games with myself, trying to guess the wind, and then I'll have my Kestrel out there. If my wife and I are just sitting around and having a dinner, and we got campfire or something, I might, if it's a good windy day or something, I might say, okay, that looks like that's 6 miles an hour, and then I'll break out my Kestrel and test it and see. So little things like that I'll do, but it really boils down to just staying with the process and doing the dry fire. And I've got several drills I do in dry fire for different things. I have a trigger control drill, and I have some speed drills like we discussed earlier today.
Yep. And I thought that was interesting. If we just go in that just real quick. Your speed drills, he was saying he was testing between, because you're dry firing, so you're not just wasting ammo, playing a 3-coil, all that, and saying, I was off this far with the wind. No, he's dry firing, but he would test it with dialing and then test it without dialing, and then he'd test it holding over wind and elevation.
Correct.
And seeing if he was quicker dialing that or holding that.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting hearing when you're dry firing that much, you can play with that and see what your times are, because you're shooting the same thing. You're not like, I just missed off the right, or taking that extra breath because this wind blew. Or no, you're in your RV dry firing. It's a controlled environment.
Exactly. The environmentals are the same.
The target's the same. The barricade's the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can get a really good baseline with that. And what I found was that I'm faster dialing. I'm better off to dial no matter how many positions it dials it is. I'm better off to dial if there's a large wind hold.
Because we talked about holding up
and over,
and then having to be in no man's land.
Yeah, and then you're constantly looking back. Okay, my windage is good. Is my elevation good? My elevation is good. Is my windage good? And if it's got, if it's more than a couple, 3-4 tenths of wind, I'm gonna be dialing.
Yeah.
Now, if it's light wind straight up, a tenth or two for spin drift, then it's going to be
as
faster.
Long as it's at the edge of a plate or in more. It's fine.
You're going to be a little faster, but I've learned and trained myself to become more efficient with that. And I think it's important that, because when I started, that was a weakness of mine, dialing. I was a 3-gunner, like I said, so we did everything holding. So holding was very natural, but dialing was not. So it was just something I knew I needed to train. And so I worked on it, and I got very efficient with it and did well with it. And it, and I think, not to shift gears, but I think I'm going to say this right now because it kind of is a good good place to segue into it. But there's a difference between training and practicing.
Okay.
And I think some people don't put those two together. And they say, well, I'm going to go practice at the range. Okay, well, if you tell me you're going to go practice at the range, to me, that means you're just doing things that you always do. Yep. Let's just take the PR skill stage.
Like what we just did. I would consider that practice.
Yes.
We just went and checked dope. We checked speeds. We checked, make sure everything's lining up.
Yeah, we're laying
That's just
prone.
practice.
Yeah, we're just.
That's not training in my book.
Exactly. Yep. Training is learning a new skill.
Yep.
Taking a weakness to make it a strength.
Yep.
Increasing the efficiency of something. Yep. That is training to me. So I think it's just important that people understand that. It's just verbiage, but it's a mindset too.
Oh, yeah.
That, like I say, okay, I'm going to the range to train this.
Yep.
And that's what I'm going
You're going there to focus on that to get better at that by the
Exactly.
Yep.
Versus, well, I'm going to go just practice a little bit.
Yep.
That means I'm just going to do the same things that I've always done,
Yep.
that I'm already pretty good at, and just to kind of keep the wheels greased, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so those are some of the things I do, and I will if it's a good windy day. I used to my first year doing this, so I'm in my third year now. My first year, I want to shoot on the calmest days, and I'm like, man, I don't want to miss a target and not see that, And I realized last year, my second year, real early on, that was a big mistake. And so now I'll look for the windiest part of the day. Now, if I'm trying to DSF or calibrate or test ammo or something, that's completely different.
Yep.
But
great, sir.
Looks like we got company.
Well, it's time to go eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, just training, practicing, dry fire, repetition, mindset.
That's right.
Mindset's a big thing.
Hey, relax, mister.
We're coming.
We're trying to do a video. Yeah.
All right.
A two-time national champion behind us yelled at us.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get him on later, but thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, Erich Leipold, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, man.
And we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys. Jason Nedved here with Nedved Precision.
Take two.